the skirmishing power of Rumble, especially with this lead. Okay, this was a bit of bad path thing. Once we saw this, we kind of wanted to leave it. Oh! Hello and welcome to another gameplay review on the Virkayu gameplay channel. And in this one, we have Rumble in the jungle. Now, Rumble was a unique feature last year. Obviously, they buffed it and then realized, shit, what have we done? And of course, nerfed it. And, you know, his month in the sun, that was pretty much it. However, before and after, there are still some enthusiasts or people who every now and then break it out. Now, it is an exotic pick, 100%. Usually we do go Dark Harvest, although we're seeing some Hail of Blades as well in this particular game. And you know what? I'm seeing a bit more of it. It's still a very low pick rate champion. It's still definitely not as good as it was in the past by any stretch of the imagination. And it still isn't some kind of giga OP broken pick, but it does have viability. And we're going to look at that in this particular game. So, runes on your screen now. Full rune set for you. Approach velocity is supremely good, obviously. Ultimate slows for 30%. East slows for 15%. If you get another E stack into that person, they slow for another 30%. We are against a Lee Sin in this game. Oh, wait a second. 35% for the ult. That's it. 35% for the ult. Oh, excuse me, too fast. And then, of course, with approach velocity, with those slows, you know, you can then just flame all over them. Because that's what you want to do. So let's have a look at how the clear works out. We're obviously seeing here bot lane show up. We're pinging out the red buff, excuse me. And, of course, Yorick then shows top lane with some mana missing. So we pretty much know Lee Sin started top side. He should be sequencing down. Unlikely he does a full clear, although maybe he does. Considering he's against a Rumble who is significantly slower than most meta champions, you do have that flexibility when you're against them. So as a off-meta exotic pick or something like a Rumble, do you want to try and match cadence, tempo with your farming clears? No, you don't. You know, you definitely don't. Do we want to try get on the map and be a bit more aggressive and try certain things to force the enemy jungler to feel a bit behind us and make them make bad plays? Yes, we do. So while you can still do your typical full clears and relax yourself and scale nicely, you know, I like this kind of action. Really, I really... What's going on here now? What's going on here now? That's a dead Camille, 100%. This angle of approach allows him to flash the wall, so there you go. I like that. Red Raptors into Grump looking for action, and of course, if things happen before, then we can go ahead and do that. So now we know that the Lee Sin started on the red. We move into his jungle to see if this is up. If it is available, then straight away we know, hey, dude went down to the bottom side. He's not here. He might be doing the exact same clear or some kind of variation, buff Grump, or something like that. Let me just rewind this to get my point across. So you're gonna see the Lee Sin show up here, right? Obviously, buff Grump, 12 CS, yada yada. He goes towards this. Now, I'm pausing it because I know you guys don't always like it, but this is very important. If you see this as Rumble and you don't see Lee Sin and you see the Nautilus disappear, but you're not against a Lee Sin, maybe against a normal jungler, maybe this isn't the Nautilus's ward. You can click it and click this and you'll see the source. It'll be on your top left. So use that to track who places the wards. Now, from a Nautilus position, is this a good ward? No. We know Rumble is on the top side because he flashed the wall and killed Yorick. Now we see him again. Rumble's not going to TP down and go through this bush. So Nautilus is wasting that ward completely, which is absolutely fine for us as Rumble, but we want to keep our eyes on that. We see the Lee Sin mid, great, but we also see the Nautilus ward, so we know that's water. We know that ward's not going to be alive by the time we get down there, or at least around that area. Excellent kitten death cot to block the Rumble from approaching. We will say unfortunate, and we'll go back to our jungle. A lot of high activity early from the Rumble. Now, I had a better replay. Not a better replay, a different replay. But all the replays in League of Graphs, as we see the plant get hit, were annihilated. Wiped, so I lost it. But basically, the Rumble did more full clearing, prototypical stuff that you'd expect. But then he stopped farming. Like, just ran around with Imperial Mandate, burning everyone alive and doing the most damage. It was insane how much damage this champion does. However, in this game, we're having a much more aggressive approach, which, you know, I kind of like. It's obviously comes with its risks, but you see the Lee Sin already making bad plays and feeling like he has to follow along, and there he is in the bottom lane. While we do this, we'll hit an E, we'll try another E, we'll get Giga Slows, Giga Burns, Giga Magic Penetration, and we have Lee Sin on the bottom lane, again, another attempt. So you're seeing ganking versus ganking junglers, right? High risk. Now, if you were in Nidalee, could be Nidalee, Diana, Karthus, obviously next patch Karthus big time, and you were simply clearing your jungle. While the Lee Sin was doing this, you'd have the same effective lead as the Rumble. Because the Rumble made this early play, because Rumble's repeat ganked here, the Rumble's maintained a certain degree of control, we have that lead basically. Those ganks have paid off, but obviously if they don't, you're kind of just as useless as each other. So here we know from CS tracking, basically, we can know that 100% the Lee Sin took our Krugs, and they overcommit here. See, now this is dumb. This is dumb. Laners need to learn how to trade relevant to jungle tracking and positioning. Sorry, relevant to jungle pathing, but they need to track it. Because we see him show up here for the 50th time with this blue now, so he must be going back to base. And they're not thinking about the 20 to 30 second spawn timers, map timers from, you know, back to base into the lane, and they're just trading ineffectively and at the wrong time. We saw here the Lee Sin, so we go and snack that Grump straight up, which is absolutely fascinating to me, that we see this, and the Lee Sin has no response whatsoever to our play. You see? Here we go. We hit this. He doesn't recognize that Rumble hit this. And even if he does, he's just completely vacuumed his ice out and trying to kill the Pantheon, and the Rumble's going to snack that away, which is exactly what happens, you know? Those things, the Lee Sin here, not making the best plays, cuts now to the Raptor camp, but Rumble has, of course, he has flash if he needs it, but he can just ward up. Rumble, of course, has Sword Boots. Okay, we want an E hit. Nautilus has shown up roaming from base. Obviously, we have to track those roam timers from the support as well. But overall, the skirmishing power of Rumble, especially with this lead. Okay, this was a bit of bad pathing. Once we saw this, we kind of wanted to leave it. Oh! What does one say when such great things happen for a jungler? He made this play. He got the stopwatch giga early, right? Giga early because of his plays. The damage he did with those Sword Boots and that E-stacking on that Nautilus was absolutely obscene, and that's why this champion can be really, really strong still in the jungle. Your clears are not as fast, but if you're playing against another ganking jungler, that doesn't really matter, because it's still substantially quicker than a lot of other off-meta jungles or exotic picks, but you have skirmish ability to an insane degree. Obviously, with your W shield, you're looking and sitting pretty. Now, I wouldn't sit in the bush unless I'd already scanned it. We see Nautilus roaming through the Raptor pit, and we know that the Lee Sin started red buff. So what we're going to do here is recognize, hey, Nautilus is there, Phyllis is by himself. I am super close to 6, not too close to 6, but kind of close. So you could look for this dive, but I'm not necessarily a huge fan of this unless, you know, you've got more of an obvious dive potential. I think, you know, here's a bit of waste of time. We could have easily taken a second spawn Krugs, our red, reset, now flex to the top side, and we can control Herald, which is what we want to do. We have ward control. We know Nautilus is top side as well. There's no real reason to waste time looking for that, because your bot lane simply wants to shove 2v1 and get out of there and go back to base. So there's no real reason for us to wait around. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. Right, cooking s'mores onto the red buff. Smite that baby to upgrade it. 401. Let's have a look here. We have Pantheon against LeBlanc. LeBlanc's up a lot of CS, obviously, as expected, and has the solo kill. The Yorick is down a lot of CS. You'd expect so, from the amount of assistance that the Camille had, even though he did solo kill early, and our bot lane is existing well. Nice, we'll take it, you know, this is fine. And you see, we don't compromise our sequencing to take the Raptors here. We do the red, it's not up, we're gonna keep going, we're gonna go to the top side, we're gonna hit this over to see if and what the Lee Sin is doing, because at this point you don't really fully know until this moment, right? You need a bit of visual confirm before we can confirm. Yeah, before we actually know where he is, and now the Lee Sin most likely can do Raptors, he can do Krugs, he can gank bot lane. He can do Raptors, he can do Krugs, he can do Dragon, he can get bot lane. Pantheon knows this, so Pantheon wards. And now you see, I am noticing a lot of lower elo mid laners and mid elo mid laners making these kinds of plays to stop the Raptors being taken, but they compromise their lanes for it, whereas high elo laners can kind of do both. Now, obviously, the Lee Sin straight up here knows we don't have Sunlight. Ult through, excellent job by the Camille, thank you so much. Nice ult by the Pantheon, we'll take that. Very good collapse by their team, but interesting pathing by the Lee Sin. He could have chosen just to exchange objectives, but instead he wanted the Herald. And you can see this I just realized the Yorick's name, Yoriccidence. You know, we're seeing this obsession with Herald. I know it's good, and I know I'm one of the voices that's kind of saying, guys, really get the Herald. Who cares about the first two Drakes? But yeah, if you can't, or you've made a mistake and you're not in a position to take it, let's just go ahead and do a Dragon, get some experience, you know, because you can get a camp, another camp, a Scuttle, a Dragon, Krugs, you can gank bot lane. There's a lot of things you can do while he does Herald that gives you an experience infusion. So yeah, you lose a bit of gold, but you get a good experience. Pantheon does Pantheon things. Obviously, the length of that queue is being buffed in the patch that will come tomorrow in a future times, and the width is going down. So right, preferring length over girth in this particular situation when it comes to Pantheon. We shove and take some plates. Did you see that, ladies and gentlemen? When you click the match history in the description, have a look at the tower damage done, all right? See the main channel video. I'm really pushing this now. He doesn't need to use his Herald here. We can just move. Great kill by the Pantheon. Push a wave, deny a wave, snack a plate. Hit a tower. That's gold. Here, of course, I would like to see us with a control ward when we want to make these plays. We'd have ult up in 11 seconds. We have here 1500, 1350 basically. Lee Sin hits this, which means we know we weren't seen in that particular arena, but we don't know if we were or were not seen on this bush, obviously, but we wait for a team to go. We hit a max range ultimate, very, very nice. Of course, you get 35% slow. We can use our Q to go in with our W movement speed and jam them with ease as we want. And now we can use a Herald. So excellent patience and awareness of recognizing, hey, look here, we have the Lee Sin mid lane. I'm not spotted. I will delay in case I was. Get it down to 2.5 and activate that Herald. Too many people are getting the Herald, and then you're all using it on like 5 plates. Let's look at it. Click. 15 armor, 15 magic resist, right? This has 3.5 plates. 50 armor, 50 magic resist. All right, here we go, straight up 3, 85 and 85. So that's 4, excuse me. Counts as 4. So you're seeing that armor goes up very, very severely, and the Herald does true damage to towers. So you don't waste it on those early plates. There's very low resistances, and you can deal with it yourself. But when it comes to those final plates, and you're looking 100 plus, you really need the Herald just to bonk it in one go, which is why we like to get it to that point. Now, Nautilus roams mid lane. Lee Sin shows up as well, deciding, hey, I'm not going to get back into this game by farming. Rumble says, well, I have Rocket Bell completed. Maximum penetration is coming your way. And sets a trap. Misses the E, unfortunately. We could still hit another one, but at the same time, 15% still is not going to do as much as 30%, unfortunately. Clear the vision away. There we go, thank you. Ah, that's so generous. Always help out. Vision is a team game. Use it to bond with your support. Create an unspoken rule about your desire to have good vision together. You grow the wards together, you grow your vision score together. Lee Sin, very, very predictable, gets ulted. We have activated a W, obviously. We do lose him over the plant. Yorick is rotating, doesn't matter. Stop into I carry from the Jinx ult, hits that way. We're focusing on, in the meantime, the exhausted Yorexception, or whatever his name was again. Burn him down to death, and then unfortunately we do die. This was always going to be a bit of an overcommit. Let's be honest. This I like on the Lee Sin, all right? But then it's really on how your team reacts to it, whether or not it's going to be a continuously good play. So if your team is not in a position to really help you, they want to reset, don't overforce, just disengage as necessary. Now, if your team does clean up here, it's just results based. We don't want to look at it too much. I'm a little bit more cautious when it comes to these Giga invades, purely because the shutdowns are too big if it doesn't go our way, right? There's a lot of shutdowns. Again, now we still have a huge lead, but our whole team has died. And there's unnecessary kills, experience, and gold that we have given away. But I do in principle like the invade here onto the Lee Sin. Nothing for free. We're up already though. That whole thing took so long, we're up already. 6 Dark Seal stacks. We do lose our stacks as well. Unfortunate, but we deserve to. Either way, good plays, good teamwork overall. There's a little bit of a ward here. Let's walk over that to deny. We obviously should have and would have been seen. And instead of focusing on our Raptors and Krugs now, what do we do? Once we hit towers a lot, we push them out. We move into their zone and say, hello, I can beat everybody, but be careful. Yorick's on the bottom side here. We have 2 people in base still. Nautilus Aphelios, it is kind of rough going. We could have just smited and yoinked the crab, which I think maybe we should have done before we did that. Probably would have, to be honest with you, just to keep that vision and the ability to disengage from the situation. Now we have 2 smites up. You kind of want to save one for the fight, one for the dragon. I get that. You want to save one for the counter jungling, one for the dragon. I get that. But I really do like, if you want to go for these kind of cheeky plays pushing the map without numbers, we just want to have the movement speed disengage. Up or down, whatever's necessary. But as your team joins, you simply more time for them. So that's great news. Qmax obviously into the E secondary. This scaling, just so you know there, the damage goes up to 160 base, and the slow does scale. That's 15% rank 1, goes up to 35% at rank at max rank. So we've been speaking baseline obviously for the early game, but we should clarify that that does scale. Just just a little bit. And obviously you can see here, it shows slowing by 20% for 2 seconds. If you hit them again, it slows increase to 40 seconds. You can see that right there, you can. So, should have clarified, I was speaking all base early because jungling is an early game business. Our job is to make sure we do things early, unless you're, of course, a Karthus or Shyvana. And then you can just exist and then win. Not that I like that, I hate it. I do prefer the way the Rumbles play the game, and he's still up 12 CS, which is almost a full rotation. It's 3 camps. You know, he goes and takes a couple camps now, he'll be up a full rotation. Which is exactly what we want. And look at how he shadows his team now. Rumble isn't very, you know, 99 times out of 100, that Nautilus hook hits. That hitbox is the most broken hitbox in the game. Obviously now Lee Sin goes way too deep. Excellent job by the Camille to zone him and avoid that kick. Obviously we've lost our support Renata out of position, and I've never seen a Renata do anything remotely useful in any game ever, to be honest with you. Don't overcommit here, make sure we pull back because we're getting eaten alive by pandas. Okay. The ghouls are definitely cute. Now, we want to leave and our teammates haven't recognized this. Jinx is out of Q spam because she has no mana. She is marked. What will come of it? Nothing. Nothing at all. We just want this to fall, but don't, it's not with dying. You know, if you take it and you'll die and then they get a herald and a tower, I mean, live to fight another day. Good disengage. Right, where are we at now? Damage-wise, 194 with our AP ratio. And our Q, for reference, 570. And our ultimate, everyone likes the ultimate, 1066, William the Conqueror damage. It's violent, and a lot. You can change the course of history, really, with that damage. 5 seconds, 35% slow, 1066 damage. The champion, as I said, he will not farm as fast, he will not farm and fight as well as certain meta champions, but against other hyperactive junglers who are also taking the high-risk lifestyle, Rumble can thrive. Rumble can absolutely thrive. And as I was saying mid lane, he's not too gold hungry. Because of the penetration, because of the raw damage that he has, right? You don't need a lot to really come online and be an absolute menace to society. With that skin in particular, because that skin is the noisiest skin I've ever seen in my life. Gives me a little bit of a migraine, honestly, listening to it. That's why the volume is, I just turned it all the way down on my speakers. You'll hear it, I won't. I just don't hear it, I just hear the monsters dying. Which is, of course, like ASMR for junglers, really. I had a thought about content. Should I just do that? I'll just start uploading jungle monsters dying to various junglers and ASMR. There you go. Should I cut that out? Nah, no one's going to do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. Good. 100% all junglers will love it. Although we're a bit masochistic and we're kind of used to people flaming us for it. Not pun not intended. So maybe, you know, jungle monsters dying, as we said, a trap full of Blanc here. Stunned, but doesn't matter because she yeets back. And now you're thinking, well, what a waste of the ultimate. And I'm like, it's up again in 55 seconds. It's basically a wave clearing ability. Nautilus shows up, second herald, not the best usage, but it's okay because we kind of use it as a bait here. That was very nicely done with the Rocket Belt engage. We don't tank too much tower. We do have W. We see Lee Sin top lane, 3 top lane. We do kill this tower, which is exactly what we want. We got 3 people bottom lane. They're going to overchase us. So if they kill us here, that's fine. If we get to kill 1 or 2 around, that's absolutely beautiful. We're going to overheat, or we did overheat, which means our attack speed goes up even if we're silenced, which is fine. A lot of damage still to come through, which people deny. Zhonya's activation here, we should be killed with the... As I said, we should be killed, but... Red team are in pain right now, I'll tell you that much. The Rumble's just keck Wing in his house. He's running around now, just absolutely laughing. You know, the rest of us are clenching in that moment. He's just relaxed. He knows the burn damage is going to do all the work that he needs. And unfortunately, well played by him, and unfortunately for the red team, not well played by them. There we go. Dragon is spawning, and you know, this is kind of what I'm talking about. The second herald, yeah, you do kind of want to use it for a nice push. And, you know, if you're a Hullbreaker person, you can really violate a base with that and just take 3-4 towers while your team is kind of just getting decimated with stupid fights and low elo. But at the same time, if you see your team doing something random like splitting bot lane as a threesome and your top lane here trying to trap, just use a herald. You know, if they get collapsed in here, you guys get 2 towers anyway. If you get collapsed on, they get 2 towers or a tower anyway. So it does work out in terms of pressure release, which is why I like that second herald. And again, look at the main channel for that video on the Saturday. I talked about hitting towers, and of course I talked about using heralds a couple of weeks ago. A lot of weird but really good tips about the jungle meta. And honestly, it took a long time. Man, I spent most of my time ideating and looking for weird things to bring forward in terms of just focusing. What can you focus on this week for your jungling to get better? And then over time, you bring it all into one nice package. And those are two of the biggest things that will help you outside of your straight up champion picks and clears and general mechanics and so on. Right. Now, what we do want to do is technically shadow as much as we can. We don't want people to get overly caught out, but they're being very disciplined because they don't know where we are. Let's look at the vision toggle. They have this. They have this. All right. So Rumble knows he can exploit that. If they're being really tentative like that, you kind of know they've done a vision. Now he shows up on the bot lane. What this can do is open up. There we go. Missed the first one, doesn't matter. Reposition with the rocket belt. Hit the second one right into her back and she dies. Camille technically wants to base here, but you know, if she does base, just take the wave yourself. However, the problem is the red team might look to engage here, use 4v3 and try and go for what's that thing called? Worm, Baron play. But nothing comes of it. Interesting, very interesting. And we know in low elo, your whole team is dead and they're on Baron right now. So what would you do? If it's 100% gone and the game feels a little bit equal, you can keep split pushing, create some tower pressure at the very least, decompress the map so that they've got a long way to push with their Herald. TB in the bottom lane here by the LeBlanc. Otherwise, you can always contest it and try and steal it, especially with your ultimate. So LeBlanc goes in here, excellent Glacial Augment, and then just absolutely rinsed by the Rumble. And then, you know, thematic entrance, you know, put some epic music on it, Dragon Slayer Pantheon, bonks down, and again, bonking down 0.25 per second faster on the live patch when you guys watch this, most likely, because most of you will probably watch from Wednesday onwards into the future, long into the future, I hope. SEO, please bless us. So he will be faster, which is good. Again, dumb engage, out of position. Rumble, that magic shred at this point is absolutely disgusting. And the raw damage from his ultimate, 1607, we've moved forward into the Renaissance. Oh, we're almost at Isaac Newton, you know, discoveries and whatnot. Really, really a lot of damage. A lot of damage. And the penetration now we're at 35%, so that stacks to 70%. So do you need Void? No, you absolutely destroy squishies. You do not need Void to do this. And that's why it's so strong. When you have champions that are really, really good at base ratios and base damage atomization, where you only need like 2-3 items to really pop off, that's the best for jungling. Because you get to 15 and very few will be able to match you, and you can usually see games to their conclusion. Obviously, you get strong over time. If you got a lot of magic resist, then you can, of course, go Void, and that just... You can see why that would be fun. You really are a tank shred, especially if you want to do things like Leandries. Not that you do anymore at all, right? But these are always things that are possible that you can think about. We've seen Ludens and Shyvana, for goodness sake, just because it can work in a certain degree. Magic Pen passive is very, very good as well. We have here only 583 extra, but we're kind of using it for the passive, for the raw stats, for the HP, and obviously to keep that maximum penetration. Thank you, maximum penetration going. So we can just rush into your Shadow Flame, which, you know, I think in this case is fine. I mean, could you go straight up death cap? I think you could. I think this game could justify a straight up death cap, but a Shadow Flame is a good item, obviously, and there's decent enough shielding that we would want to get that little bonus proc from it. But as an item, you don't really need it just for anti-shielding, right? It's strong enough as it is because of that HP relative stat. Now, 3 people top lane. So we'll take an inhib. If you need explanation on that macro, I can't help you. Yorick is completely out of position. Yorick's Sedence. Lee Sin goes way too deep. Again, repositioning excellently done. Rumble dives into the enemy team there and just absolutely zones with his ult as well as his maximum penetration, and then follows through with super duper flaming. I was going to say that like there was something else, but there was nothing else. He just absolutely flashed in and just flamed people. So, what do you guys think in the comments? Let me know. Rumble in the jungle, not as bad as you would think. And this happens a lot. Things don't get nerfed or like a minor thing, like Hellbreaker, right? They nerfed it on ranged. Why have you guys stopped building it on melee? It's still broken. You see on the Yorick, he didn't use it properly or really get a chance to. They nerfed it on ranged. You can still play it, it's still strong. So a lot of things get nerfed a little bit and then people just chuck it in the trash. It's doomed, it's useless. As you can see, not that bad. So thank you very much for watching. Please do like, share, and comment if you did enjoy and learn something, or even if you just enjoyed. Who knows? Main channel has a lot of cool stuff. Patreon is coaching signups and coaching VODs. And as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.